This episode of FineScale Modeler's new product rundown features Academy's Panther Ausf G, Kitty Hawk's Yak-130, Takom's Kran, Trumpeter's Albacore, and, in the spirit of the season, a bunch of neat gift ideas.
New product rundown brought to you by Hobby Zone USA, your source for hobby storage solutions, hard-to-find hobby tools, and aftermarket modeling needs.
Welcome to FineScale Modeler's new product rundown, the show where we give you a look inside the latest kits and modeling accessories. I'm Aaron Skinner.
I'm Elizabeth Nash. Our first subject is the latest in a recent flurry of Panther kits. This 1/35th scale Ausf G comes from Academy.
Now, you guys probably don't need a whole lot of introduction to the Panther. The Panzer Kampfwagen 5, first version is used at Kursk. The Ausf G was the ultimate version, used in the last year of World War II.
So without further ado, let's see what Academy's Panther looks like.
Typical of the Korean company's recent kits, the parts are cleanly molded with fine surface detail. The lower hull comprises a belly plate with hatches, sides with suspension details and attachments, as well as integral sponson plates, and a rear plate with hatches. Separate internal braces keep everything square.
Suspension details include final drive housings, road wheel arms that attach to road wheels with sharp hub, bolt, and tire moldings, and include a pair of all-steel wheels used on a couple of the subject vehicles, along with drive sprockets and idlers.
The tracks are Lincoln length with molded track guides.
The upper hull is a single part with weld seams, recessed panel lines, and molded attachments for the spare track links and tools. The engine deck has molded vanes and fans for the cooling system that are covered by plastic grills, including a raised housing embellished with photo-etched screens.
The engine hatch, as well as those of the driver and gunner, are separate. Other hull details include exhausts, front mud flaps, tools, antennas, spare track and skirt racks, and skirts to go on them.
The turret has an upper body with weld seams and cut marks, a lower plate with plastic tabs to lock the turret into the hull, with the rear panel, and a front plate that fits into one of two optional mantlets. The gun is a single-piece barrel with detailed 3-part muzzle brake.
It attaches to a 2-part breech. A detailed commander's cupola tops the turret.
The deceptively small decal sheet belies the fact that the kit features 6 marking options, all late war tanks.
Academy's Panther offers a straightforward kit of a popular subject with good moldings and options in the box.
Next up, Kitty Hawk's 1/48 scale Yak-130.
This subsonic 2-seat advanced trainer has been in Russian Air Force service since 2009, where it can reportedly replicate the characteristics of several 4+ generation fighters, as well as the next generation SU-57.
It's also capable of carrying 3,000 pounds of ordnance for light attack missions.
The stubby-tailed upper fuselage, molded with the upper halves of the wings, is marked with fine recessed panel lines and minute rivets.
The lower fuselage is split into the nose with fine vents, and the aft with openings for the main wheel wells and the engine exhausts. Once the jet pipes are in place, they are covered by shaped body panels to finish the jet's rear.
Up front, the intake trunks fit into the fuselage before one-piece lips are attached.
While the wings are split in half, the stabilators and vertical tail are single pieces. All of the control surfaces, including the rudder, leading edge slats, and the flaps, are separate and appear to be posable. The last includes slatted sections and actuators.
The cockpit comprises a floor, detailed walls with separate consoles, instrument panels with decal faces, a pair of 13-part ejection seats with rails, bulkheads, cowl, pedals, and control sticks.
Also detailed are the nose and main gear bays, as well as the posable speed brake and its bay in the upper fuselage. Nicely molded landing gear legs and wheels ground the trainer.
The posable canopy and lights are crystal clear. A pair of resin figures, one seated in the rear cockpit, the other climbing the posable ladder, are provided.
A small photo-etched fret provides seat harnesses, canopy mirrors, and seat D-rings.
The kit provides a ton of stores for the plane's 9 hardpoints, including fuel tanks and wingtip flare and chaff dispensers, 500 and 1,500 kilogram guided bombs, air-to-surface missiles, gun and rocket pods, unguided bombs, and air-to-air missiles.
Decals provide stencils for the weapons and airframe, and markings for 7 Yak-130s, 1 Bangladeshi, the rest Russian, including several in colorful schemes.
This one looks good in the box and will provide a colorful addition to your display shelf.
Now let's take a look at something that could be used with one of the many Panther and Tiger tanks available, Takom's 1/35th scale 16-ton Strabokran.
These portable collapsible cranes were supplied to German heavy tank units where they were used for servicing the vehicles, including lifting turrets.
Molded in gray plastic, the sharp parts include the framework for the horizontal gantry with sides and a top section, and rails for the crane head and the mounts for the support towers.
The motor mounts on one end, and the operating parts such as the reels, cogs, and pulleys fill the gantry. The large hook connects to a lifting frame designed to fit a Panther turret. The other part here is the hitch for towing the trailer. 2 diameters of nylon string and chain are provided to rig the crane.
Each of the collapsible towers sits on a heavy frame with rotating mounts for axles.
Detailed wheels and tires with great tread and sidewall detail attached to the axles. Detailed braces with optional feet can be deployed to stabilize the crane during operations.
The towers, which build from multiple parts, can be built erected or stowed, and there are more cogs, pulleys, and cables to replicate the tower mechanicals.
A small decal sheet and color diagrams provide markings for 4 cranes.
There's plenty of detail here and plenty of display options too.
Here's Trumpeter's 148 scale Fairey Albacore.
This biplane torpedo bomber was meant to replace the Swordfish in Fleet Air Arms Service.
800 were built, and oddly, the Swordfish actually outlived it in frontline operational service.
The only other injection-molded Albacore in 148 scale was released by Special Hobby in 2014.
Surface detail on major parts like the fuselage comprises fine recessed panel lines and a few raised rivets.
The wings have fabric over ribs effect, and the ailerons are separate. The inner wing struts are well molded with a good aerodynamic shape.
The horizontal stabilizer is molded in full span halves with separate elevators. They fit under the vertical stabilizer with a separate rudder.
The fixed undercarriage angles are set with a single-piece center section that fits into the belly.
The Bristol Taurus engine with its well-molded cooling vanes on the pair of cylinder banks is sandwiched inside a 2-part cowl that is split along the exhaust. The prop is a single part with a separate spinner, and the distinctive intake under the cowl comes in halves.
With a long canopy and windshield, as well as a couple of side windows, there's a lot of glass on the Albacore.
Under it all is the cockpit with molded framing inside the fuselage, a floor and back wall for the pilot, as well as a separate floor for the rear compartment, and seats for the crew, an instrument panel, and fuel tank.
The kit provides a torpedo with separate prop and sling to attach it under the centerline, and small bombs to mount under the wings.
A small decal sheet provides markings for 3 Albacores.
It's great to see a new kit of the Albacore, and I predict it will be popular with modelers of British aircraft.
Now let's take a look at a few kits we thought might make interesting gifts, starting with MiniArt's bizarre ball tank.
We can't speak for the veracity of the subject matter, but this is a cool looking kit.
Despite the oddity, MiniArt has crammed the ball with detail, including an engine with plumbing and exhaust.
The power plant and the crew sit inside rings supported by frames that support the running gear for the tire that runs around the circumference of the vehicle, and small outrigger wheels keep it upright.
The tank's armament includes a pair of cannons, either 37 or 45 millimeter, it's hard to tell, and a pair of 12.7 millimeter machine guns.
A colorful decal sheet has markings for 6 Charo tanks with the disclaimer, attention, all marking and coloring variants are invented and not real.
Now what if vehicles aren't everybody's cup of tea, but this could be fun and look really good on a shelf full of paper panzers?
Next, here's the latest version of Academy's fabulous 148 scale Phantom, a Navy F4J with markings for VF-102, the Diamondbacks.
This is one of the best F4 kits available, with fine surface detail, decent engine and cockpit detail, lots of optional parts, and a good ordnance selection.
Cartograph decals provide markings for a single fighter from VF-102 aboard USS Independence in 1976.
These are colorful markings on one of the most popular modeling subjects, definitely a winner.
Next, Ryefield's 135th scale Panther Ausf G.
We looked at Ryefield's first Panther in a previous episode. Needless to say, there's a lot of detail here with the engine, the main gun and the turret, and plenty of ammunition, running gear with individual linked tracks on a detailed lower hull.
What sets this apart from the first release is the inclusion of cutout hull and turret sections to display all of that interior detail. Decals provide markings for 3 late war tanks.
That should look really neat when it's done.
While we're looking at Panthers, here's Takom's 135th scale Flakpanzer variant.
While this vehicle never made it past the mock-up stage, it's been a popular subject for modelers.
This is not a full interior kit, but it's based on Takom's previously released Panther Ausf G with nicely molded surface detail on the hull, a multi-part lower hull, and detailed running gear with Lincoln-length tracks with separate track guides and photo-etched metal engine screens.
What's new here is the turret, or should I say turrets, as the 2-in-1 kit includes 2 versions of the proposed Flakpanzer Panther. There's an early proposal with 4 20mm guns in the turret. The slide-molded gun barrels fit into the elevation drums inside, and there is a machine gun for the commander's cupola. The other option is the so-called Coelian, armed with a pair of 37mm guns. The cannons, with nicely molded separate muzzles, fit into the large mantlet.
The small decal sheet and color diagrams give 6 ideas to camouflage the models.
But these are all what if, so your imagination is the only limit to how you want to finish your model.
From Italeri, here's a welcome reissue of Accurate Miniatures 148 scale B-25G, the short-nosed strafer with 2 fixed 50 caliber machine guns and a 75mm cannon up front.
This is a nicely detailed kit of the Mitchell with fine recessed panel lines and rivets on the fuselage and a well-appointed interior, sharply molded wings that attach to spars anchored in the body, detailed engines, and crisp clear parts.
The exciting addition is the inclusion of decals to mark 4 Mitchells. 3 bear full wraparound nose art, including a bat, tiger, and panther.
Any of these would be a striking addition to your collection.
Zvezda brings us the 135th scale T-15, the Russian heavy infantry fighting vehicle based on the Armata Universal Combat Platform.
So the kit shares some parts with Zvezda's previously released T-14 Armata tank, namely the wheels, tracks, and road wheel arms.
The new upper and lower hull parts show sharply molded surface detail, including attachment brackets, toolboxes, and hatches.
As do other body parts, including the add-on armor and slatted protection for the rear hatch, and the hatches, stowage racks, and rubber fender skirts.
The turret is nicely done too, with vents and wiring on the panels, decent guns, and the side-mounted rocket pods. Clear parts provide vision blocks for most of the crew positions.
The decals provide the swoosh seen on the side of the vehicle during parades and a matrix of numbers to add to the vehicle in other guises.
Nice looking model of a modern Russian vehicle, if that's your thing.
Eduard has repackaged its recent BF-109 G10 kit as the Czech-built Avia S99 or C10.
In addition to Eduard's nicely molded plastic parts with fine recessed panel lines and colored photo etch, the limited edition kit includes decals to mark 4 of the fighters for either Czechoslovak Air Force or police service.
All have red trim, and the model will add spice to a shelf full of 109s.
Sticking with 148 scale, Ryefield has reissued its delightful Dassault Ryefield C.
The basic kit has been around since 1999, but the plastic looks terrific with fine recessed panel lines and rivets, a decent cockpit and wheel well detail, and sharp clear parts.
This kit includes the weapons added to the kit in one of the more recent box scenes.
Beautifully printed decals supply markings for 2 French Air Force Ryefields, one in a striking Arctic Tiger scheme added for the 2012 NATO Tiger Meet.
That's pretty and should be a fun project.
Finally, let's look at a couple of new products from Hobby Zone, starting with the Magnetic Assembly Guide Holder.
This slips over the top of a Hobby Zone paint rack or other upper module and uses magnets to hold instructions in place. Now they are up off the bench and easy to see.
The other is a paper towel module designed to fit U.S. paper towel rolls.
Machine cut from MDF, the module can be matched to other modules with magnets.
Another neat storage idea from Hobby Zone.
Look for build reviews of Academy's Panther, Kitty Hawk's Yak-130, Takom's Kran, Trumpeter's Albacore, and MiniArt's Sharo Tank in upcoming issues of FineScale Modeler magazine.
And you can always find more new products in the January issue on sale now.
Thanks for visiting FineScale.com, where you can find more build reviews.
I'm Aaron Skinner.
And I'm Elizabeth Nash. Have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Unless, of course, you have other plans. Surface detail on major parts like the fuselage. Fuselage.
I'm Sean Connery. And your auctioneer today will be Sean Connery. Oh no.
Sean Connery does Jabba the Hutt.